The young trainers, Alex, Maya, and Juan, and their Pokemon, set foot on the sandy shores of the mysterious island. The warm tropical sun shone down upon them as they gazed out at the dense forests and rocky cliffs that surrounded the island. This was the place they had been dreaming of, the island that held the legendary Dragonite's treasure. The sound of the waves crashing against the shore was a comforting and calming sound that seemed to wash away their worries. Alex, a young trainer from the Kanto region, turned to his companions with a look of determination on his face. "We've come this far. We can't turn back now," he said, a sense of adventure in his voice. Maya, a trainer from the Johto region, nodded in agreement. "I'm ready for anything this island throws at us," she said, her eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. Juan, a trainer from the Hoenn region, released his Pokemon from their Pokeballs, and they immediately began exploring the sandy beach. "Let's get moving," he said, a sense of excitement in his voice. As the group made their way into the dense forest, they were immediately confronted by the sounds of wild Pokemon. Rustling leaves and snapping twigs signaled the presence of something dangerous lurking in the shadows. Alex took the lead, and his Pokemon, a Pikachu, followed closely behind him. Maya and Juan's Pokemon, a Charizard and a Lapras respectively, flanked their trainers, ready to defend them against any danger. As they made their way deeper into the forest, they encountered traps set by the rival group. Maya spotted a tripwire, and the group was able to avoid a trap that could have seriously injured them. They continued to move forward, wary of any other traps that might be lurking around the next bend. The dense jungle was full of life, and the young trainers marveled at the beauty of the island. They saw exotic Pokemon that they had never encountered before. The young trainers had been dreaming of this moment for years, and they were determined to find Dragonite's treasure. They knew that the journey ahead would be difficult, but they were ready for anything that came their way. As they continued on their journey, the sound of rushing water grew louder. The group emerged from the dense jungle to find a river flowing through the heart of the island. Across the river, they saw a towering cliff that seemed to lead up into the clouds. They knew that their journey was far from over, and that the real challenges were yet to come. The young trainers stood there for a moment, taking in the beauty of the island and the excitement of the adventure that lay ahead. They were ready to face any challenge and overcome any obstacle in their quest for Dragonite's treasure. The young trainers and their Pokemon trudged through the dense jungle, their steps muffled by the thick undergrowth. The air was thick with humidity, and the smell of damp earth and rotting vegetation filled their nostrils. They had come to the island to discover Dragonite's treasure, but they soon realized that the journey would not be easy. As they made their way deeper into the jungle, they encountered a fierce pack of wild Pokemon. The Pokemon were angry and aggressive, and they seemed to be guarding something. The young trainers and their Pokemon knew that they had to be careful, or they could end up in serious trouble. Alex, the leader of the group, stepped forward and spoke to the wild Pokemon in a calm, reassuring voice. His Pikachu stood at his side, ready to fight if necessary. Maya and Juan stood behind him, their Pokemon ready to spring into action. At first, the wild Pokemon didn't seem to listen. They snarled and bared their teeth, and the young trainers knew that they were in for a tough battle. But Alex didn't give up. He spoke to the wild Pokemon again, this time with more conviction and force. To the young trainer's surprise, the wild Pokemon seemed to respond to Alex's words. They stopped growling and looked at him with a kind of respect. Alex knew that he had to act fast, or the moment could be lost. He gave a nod to his Pikachu, and the battle began. Pikachu launched a powerful attack on the wild Pokemon, who fought back with ferocity, but Alex and his Pokemon were determined, and they didn't give up. Maya and Juan's Pokemon soon joined in, and the battle became a chaotic flurry of energy. The young trainer's Pokemon fought bravely, taking down their opponents one by one. The wild Pokemon were no match for their skill and determination. When the battle was over, the young trainers and their Pokemon were exhausted but triumphant. They had won their first challenge on the island, and they knew that there would be many more to come. They looked at each other with a sense of pride and accomplishment, knowing that they had taken their first step towards discovering Dragonite's treasure. As the young trainers and their Pokemon reached the heart of the island, they found themselves in front of a towering cliff with no apparent way up. Just as they were about to turn back, they heard a deafening roar coming from the other side of the cliff. They followed the sound and found a narrow path leading up the cliff. The path was treacherous, and they had to use all their skills and strength to climb it. After what felt like hours, they finally reached the top of the cliff, and they saw Dragonite for the first time. The legendary Pokemon was massive, with wings that spanned the length of a football field, and its scales glinted in the sunlight. Dragonite looked down at the young trainers and their Pokemon with a piercing gaze. It was clear that Dragonite was guarding something, and the young trainers knew they had to prove their worthiness to claim it. Dragonite spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. "If you wish to claim my treasure, you must complete a series of challenges to prove your worthiness." The young trainers were excited and nervous at the same time. They knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they didn't want to mess it up. Dragonite led them to a nearby clearing where a series of challenges awaited them. The first challenge was a battle with a powerful Dragonair. The young trainers had to use their Pokemon's unique abilities and teamwork to defeat the Charizard. It was a tough battle, and the young trainers and their Pokemon were pushed to their limits, but they emerged victorious. The second challenge was a puzzle that required them to navigate a maze and find a hidden key. The maze was filled with traps and dead ends, but the young trainers and their Pokemon worked together to find the key and unlock the door to the next challenge. The third challenge was a test of their agility and strength. They had to climb a series of ropes and swinging platforms while avoiding obstacles and wild Pokemon. It was a dizzying and dangerous challenge, but the young trainers and their Pokemon were determined to succeed. The final challenge was a battle with Dragonite itself. The young trainers and their Pokemon knew that this was the ultimate test, and they were ready for it. The battle was intense and fierce, with Dragonite using all its power and skill to defeat them. But the young trainers and their Pokemon were not to be underestimated. They used their wits and teamwork to outsmart Dragonite and claim victory. As they emerged from the clearing, Dragonite congratulated them on their victory. "You have proven yourselves worthy," Dragonite said. "You may claim my treasure." The young trainers and their Pokemon were overjoyed. They had completed the challenges and proved their worth as trainers. But as they looked at the treasure, they realized that the true treasure was the bond they had formed with their Pokemon and the memories they had created on the journey. The young trainers had just completed a grueling series of challenges, proving their worthiness to Dragonite and earning the right to claim its treasure. They were exhausted but elated, knowing that their dream of discovering Dragonite's treasure was about to come true. But they were not alone on the island. A rival group of trainers was also on the island, determined to steal Dragonite's treasure and claim it for themselves. The young trainers and their Pokemon were resting in a small clearing when they heard a rustling in the bushes. They immediately sprang into action, knowing that the rival group was nearby. They formed a defensive circle ready to face whatever came their way. The rival group emerged from the bushes, led by a tall, imposing trainer with a sneer on his face. He sneered at the young trainers and their Pokemon, taunting them for their foolishness and thinking they could claim Dragonite's treasure. "You're wasting your time, kids," he said. "Dragonite's treasure belongs to us, and we'll stop at nothing to claim it." The young trainers and their Pokemon were outnumbered, but they were not afraid. They knew that they had to protect Dragonite's treasure at all costs. They launched an attack, their Pokemon using their unique abilities to fend off the rival group's Pokemon. The battle was fierce and intense, with Pokemon of all types clashing in a whirlwind of energy and power. The young trainers and their Pokemon fought with all their might, determined to protect Dragonite's treasure and their dream of becoming true trainers. The rival group's Pokemon were strong, but the young trainers and their Pokemon were stronger. They worked together, their bonds of friendship and trust giving them the strength they needed to overcome their opponents. The rival group's trainer looked on in disbelief as his Pokemon were defeated one by one. As the battle drew to a close, the young trainers and their Pokemon emerged victorious. The rival group was defeated and the young trainers had protected Dragonite's treasure. They breathed a collective sigh of relief. knowing that their dream had been fulfilled and that they had proven themselves as true trainers. But the victory was bittersweet. The young trainers knew that they had not seen the last of the rival group. They were still on the island, and they were still determined to claim Dragonite's treasure. The young trainers and their Pokemon knew that they had to stay vigilant, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they regrouped and tended to their wounds, the young trainers and their Pokemon vowed to protect Dragonite's treasure at all costs. The young trainers and their Pokemon were exhausted, but they knew that the battle with the rival group was far from over. They could feel the tension in the air as they faced off against their opponents, and they knew that this was the moment they had been training for. The rival group was led by a trainer named Max, who was notorious for his ruthless tactics and his strong Pokemon. Max sneered at the young trainers, confident that his team would be able to defeat them easily. "Looks like we meet again," Max said, his eyes narrowing. "You really think you can beat me and my team?" Alex, Maya, and Juan stood their ground, determined not to back down. They knew that they had come too far to give up now. "We'll see about that," Alex said, his voice firm. The battle began, and both sides sent out their strongest Pokemon. The air was filled with the sounds of Pokemon cries and battle moves as the young trainers and their opponents fought fiercely. Maya's Charizard took on Max's Typhlosion in a fierce battle of fire and strength. Juan's Lapras faced off against Max's Gyarados in a battle of water and power. Alex's Pikachu went up against Max's Dragonite in a battle of speed and agility. The battle was intense, and the young trainers had to use all their skills and tactics to gain the upper hand. Their Pokemon fought bravely, showing their determination and loyalty to their trainers. As the battle raged on, it became clear that the young trainers had the advantage. Max's team was beginning to tire, and his Pokemon were showing signs of weakness. Max's face twisted in anger as he realized that he was losing. He ordered his Pokemon to use their most powerful moves, hoping to turn the tide of the battle. But it was too late. The young trainers and their Pokemon had become a powerful team, working together in perfect harmony. They had overcome their differences and learned to trust each other, and it showed in their battles. With one final attack, the young trainers and their Pokemon emerged victorious. The rival group was defeated, and Max was forced to concede defeat. "You may have won this time," Max spat, "but you haven't seen the last of me." The young trainers and their Pokemon exchanged high fives and hugs, relieved that the battle was over. They had proven themselves to be true trainers, and their bond with their Pokemon was stronger than ever. As they made their way back to Dragonite's lair, the young trainers felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. They had faced many challenges and overcome many obstacles on their journey, but they had come out stronger and more determined than ever before. The final challenge had been their greatest test, but they had passed with flying colors. They knew that the journey was not over yet, but they were ready for whatever lay ahead. As the young trainers and their Pokemon emerged from the final battle, Dragonite appeared before them. Its towering figure cast a long shadow over the young trainers, but they stood firm, their faces showing determination and courage. Dragonite acknowledged their bravery and revealed its treasure, a collection of rare and valuable items that had been collected over the years. The treasure glinted in the sunlight, and the young trainer's eyes widened in amazement as they beheld the treasure's splendor. The collection included sparkling gems, glittering gold coins, ancient artifacts, and even a few mysterious orbs. Each item had a unique story to tell, and the young trainers listened intently as Dragonite shared its tales. As the young trainers marveled at the treasure, they realized that the true treasure was not the material riches they saw before them. Instead, it was the bond they had formed with their Pokemon and the memories they had created on the journey. They looked around at each other, smiling, and their Pokemon beamed with pride. Alex, Maya, and Juan shared a moment of reflection, thinking back on the challenges they had faced on the journey. They had learned so much about themselves and their Pokemon, and they had come out stronger and more determined than ever before. They knew that their bond with their Pokemon was unbreakable, and that they would always be there for each other, no matter what. Dragonite sensed their thoughts and nodded in agreement. It had seen many trainers come and go over the years, but few had shown the kind of courage and determination that Alex, Maya, and Juan had displayed. It was proud of them and knew that they would go on to achieve great things in the world of Pokemon. As the young trainers and their Pokemon prepared to leave the island, they looked back one last time at Dragonite and its treasure. They knew that they had faced many challenges and overcome many obstacles on their journey, but they had come out victorious. They had proven themselves to be true trainers, and their bond with their Pokemon was stronger than ever. With a newfound sense of confidence, the young trainers and their Pokemon set sail for home, eager to embark on new adventures and to create even more memories together. As they sailed into the distance, they knew that their journey had only just begun, and that there were many more challenges and treasures to discover. The young trainers and their Pokemon set sail from the island of Dragonite's treasure, the wind carrying them away from the tropical paradise they had called home for the past few days. The journey home was a quiet one, filled with reflection and introspection. They had faced many challenges on the island, but they had also formed deep bonds with their Pokemon and had proven themselves to be true trainers. As they sailed, the young trainers watched the island disappear into the distance, the colors of the sunset casting a warm glow over the ocean. Their Pokemon were quiet, their eyes closed, as they rested from the excitement of the journey. The young trainers couldn't help but feel a sense of longing for the island and the adventure they had just experienced. But as the night fell and the stars came out, the young trainers found themselves talking about the memories they had created on the journey. They shared stories of their battles, their triumphs, and their struggles, laughing and reminiscing about the moments that had made the journey unforgettable. As they sailed on, the young trainers realized that the true treasure of their journey was not the material riches they had discovered on the island, but the friendships and bonds they had formed with their Pokemon. They had faced many challenges, but they had also grown stronger and more determined. The ocean around them was calm and peaceful, the waves gently rocking the boat back and forth. The young trainers felt a sense of contentment and happiness, knowing that they had accomplished something great and had grown as trainers and as people. As they neared the shore of their home region, the young trainers felt a sense of anticipation and excitement. They knew that they would continue their journey as trainers, with their Pokemon by their side, and that they would face new challenges and adventures. The journey home had been quiet, but it had also been a time of reflection and growth. The young trainers and their Pokemon had discovered the true treasure of their journey, and they knew that they would always cherish the memories they had created on the island of Dragonite's treasure.